Welcome to Midlife Unlimited, the podcast for women who want more. And today is a very special day. I'm rather excited. A good thing I'm sitting down because I am delighted to be joined by my landmark episode 75. Who thought we'd get here? We did. Guest the wonderful Vicky Jones, founder of OurLives, to give a taste of our episode that's available now wherever you get your podcasts. How to future-proof. Who doesn't want a bit of that? So welcome, Vicky. It is fabulous to have you here.
Thank you, and congratulations on 75 episodes. I don't know if the viewers, the listeners appreciate the work and effort that goes into producing 75 episodes of a podcast.
That's a lot of me chatting, isn't it?
It's a lot of people chatting and editing, so well done, and I'm really pleased to be the 75th guest. That's really
thank
exciting.
you. Because for anyone that doesn't know, I actually edit it all myself as well. It is a me and my guests. It's a community. Come and join the Facebook group. Anyway, talking about hard work. Midlife, we do give ourselves a lot of hard work, don't we? Now, this episode, there are no crystal balls involved because we haven't got those. But I know that you and I, when we had our little pre-chat, midlife is a lot of time of thinking, am I still useful? Am I still needed? What's my purpose? If you're a mum, the whole matriarch role shifting. But that can lead to problems because we can be holding on to stuff that we don't actually need to be doing to make ourselves feel busy. And it's not helping anyone, is it?
It's really not. And it's quite a difficult subject to broach, to be honest with you, because I think, and we do mention in the episode, I think a lot of us, particularly women in midlife, our identity is intrinsically linked to how useful we feel we are to other people. Yeah. So we've got children who are potentially young adults or into early adulthood, and they still need us to some degree. And then we've got parents who are aging, so at the other end of the spectrum, and we are sandwiched in the middle, and it's really commonly known as the sandwich generation. And we feel that immense responsibility to still support everyone and hold everything inside ourselves. And what I want to suggest today, and I know we've talked a lot about this, Kate, is actually we're not doing anybody any favours by holding on to it all. It's really difficult because we always have, and because our identity is so linked to that, we feel like if we lose that control, does that somehow make us less valuable to those around us? The reality is we are still useful, but we're also in a phase where we can go and have our own lives. But things that are going to happen in the next 10, 20, 15 years are going to impact our ability to live our best lives. Yeah. So you're right in saying that there's no crystal ball, but it's because we have no crystal ball that if we prepare for most eventualities, that's going to see us in really good stead.
No, absolutely. And another point as well that we talk about in our full-length audio episode, available wherever you listen to your podcast, is something that a lot of the women that I coach have experienced, and that is making excuses to yourself, not necessarily other people even, that we can't try new things or we can't try to step out of this blinking comfort zone because we have to do all these things that we could have delegated, or they are, as I say in the intro to our episode, they are no longer in our realm of responsibility because that is shifting. But I mean, I know I'm there now. Obviously my dad, bless him, he's 95. My gorgeous boy is working and living in London with his girlfriend. And I'm still like, oh my goodness, is he all right? It's like, no, he's an adult now. We're still ridiculously close. And I love that. But it's that shift of, no, if I don't help, it's like, if you don't help them help themselves, you're not helping anyone.
Right. Absolutely. And it's such, and I think people really underestimate what a huge shift that is to make, because for 20 years, 2 decades, you've been responsible for keeping somebody else alive. And another
not always doing it very well, but
but we've been doing it nevertheless. We managed to get them to adulthood. Great, we job done. But it is that huge transition. But the question I want to pose to everybody, yourself included, is what would happen to everybody else if I got, God forbid, abducted by aliens tomorrow? Does anybody know where the paperwork is? Aren't we enabling people to function outside of ourselves? And the answer to a lot of that is going to be, oh no, they probably couldn't. They wouldn't know where the documents are kept. They wouldn't know how to use the dryer. They wouldn't know when to feed the cat or the dog, or they wouldn't know when to feed granny, because we don't allow them to do that.
No, we keep it to make it hold it close.
Absolutely. But what I will say to that as well is we worry about losing that, and I'm going to use the word power, that power, that control over things. But the reality is, even if we tell other people how to do things, that information is shared. I can guarantee you, not many of them are going to run in and try and take over and take control, because why on earth would anybody actively want to take on that level of responsibility? So you can share that information quite safely, knowing that all of a sudden everybody around you isn't going to become fully independent, and you are still going to be that sort of almost central figure in people's lives. But we have to take into consideration, not only if something bad happens. I don't want to sound like I'm always being really
no. I mean, obviously, we do touch on the fact that we don't like talking about our own mortality, whether that be shortened or living a fabulously long life.
Yeah.
But these are all things that it is a good time, and as you say so beautifully in our audio episode, to take the quiet time now to think about. Now, I'd like to say at this point, viewers, this episode and this live chat now is not a hard sell. It's not me trying to flog Vicky's app. But what it is asking the questions and finding out more about how this app came about, because it's real life circumstances and your expertise together that have resulted in it. But there are so many ways that, in so many conversations, that it's stimulated and just make us think about things like that. So can we just firstly, I say it's not a hard sell, but can you talk about, people go, what is Our Lives? What is that? Can you talk us through, obviously, all your connection details, and you'll share them later. They're all in the show notes and on the website. But how has it come about? What's it all about?
So Our Lives, I'm going to put this poetically, is a love letter to all the women like us. It's the culmination of 25 years of working in social care. But to start off with, how I ended up with the sort of mindset that I have is, yesterday would have been my dad's 70th birthday. But unfortunately, my dad passed away aged 44. So from a very young age, I was 20 years old, from a very, very young age, I understood that the bad things can happen. So I've always had that sort of sat with me. Then I ended up with a career in social care. So again, whether I surround myself with like misery loves company, I don't know. But it is that seeing how people's lives play out, and through my own personal experience. And I sort of worked my way up from frontline worker to managing programs and developing services. But somehow I kept seeing people coming through to services looking for help in times of crisis. And the overriding pattern for that is because nobody was prepared. Yeah. Because we discount our future. It's really, if you just said to someone at 16, can you imagine sitting here, as a middle-aged woman, sneezing too loudly and your knees creaking every time you stand up? No. Why would I be thinking about that when I'm 16 and carefree? And the same goes for now. We can't imagine ourselves as older, more infirm, less mobile, with health conditions and all the other things that life throws at us. So Our Lives was built, and it's an online platform. People subscribe. There's lots of different functions and features, but primarily it's around making people think about what they need to think about and organising that. And then the kicker is you can add other people who can access that in times of emergency. So you don't even need to have the conversations. You can add different people onto it to say, my son and daughter can access my paperwork and how to feed the dog. My best friend can access my will and my lasting power of attorney and all those important things. So it's around sort of making it really, really person-centred and really focused on your individual circumstances. We've also got a wonderful team of networks because, again, over the years I've accumulated so many great people in my network, and it's how do we utilise all these wonderful people and their vast experience into something that's useful for people. So it was born from that. And I also think because, and again, just to mention my dad again, is I was coming up for my 44th birthday. So it was almost a very pivotal time for me, because I thought, okay, every second I have now is a second that he didn't have. And that kind of drives you in a way that I'm not sure many other things do. So living, why not go for it? And I think that's a really common theme in your podcast, and the women that I hear talking on there is, we're not getting any younger. It's we've done our primary caring bit. We know who we are.
Yeah.
Let's just do this. Let's just do it and see what happens. Let's just push for it. So that's how it kind of all came about, really.
No, I love that.
Yeah, because I do think, what's the worst that can happen?
Well, we talk about positive catastrophizing, don't we? And asking, and it is a question to ask. If not now, when? When? But another thing that's so important, as you say, you know, the whole idea of putting things in a safe place. Yeah, and it is good, to have a box, perhaps, where you've got your papers, but actually digitizing, I can never say that. And I said it, things means that, because now families, we're scattered all over this beautiful planet. We're not necessarily just around the corner. Society is shifting, the way, interrelations are shifting. So to have everything in a digital format that everyone can access, whether it's dog feeding or wills, all sorts, is just such an important thing. That peace of mind as well, because what's that wonderful John Lennon quote? I heard it again on something yesterday. Life is what happens when you're busy doing other things.
That's exactly the phrase that I would use to describe all this. Life is what happens. It's the perfect phrase to talk about this. And you're absolutely right. Families don't all live within walking distance of each other now. Whether it's like your son living in London or whether it's people living in other countries.
Oh, my brother's in Brisbane. But as you say, it's also like lifestyles. Someone may need to find out some information, and they're a night owl. I'm not particularly. So if someone phones me after 9 o'clock at night, I'm not that happy about it. But if they need to find out some information, whatever it might be, they can do it at 6 in the, 6. No, I'm up at 6 in the morning, but in the early hours of the morning. It just makes life not easier, because you say it's not about making things necessarily easy, but it's about making them straightforward and planning where we can.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think it's not necessarily about making things easier, but it's about making things less hard when the time comes.
Yeah.
I've got a challenge for you and your viewers and listeners. Get a list of 10 documents that are in your house, and call up who you think would be your emergency contact when you're not home, and just say, where are all these documents? And see if they can find them and access them. Just do that, and let's see how prepared. Because even me, as the founder of OurLives, and this is my whole mission, I'm sure there's still documents that people wouldn't be able to find, even though I think I thought of everything. There would be something. But it's a really interesting exercise to do, to say, this person, your best friend, for example, they're your emergency contact. Can they access your house? Would they know where to start looking if they couldn't ask you for direction, if you've been abducted by aliens? It's a really good exercise to see how prepared you are.
But it's also having that idea of a checklist, or whatever format it might have, of actually what these 10 documents are.
What is it? Is it your pensions, your GP details? Is it your insurance?
I'm thinking about all the different insurance policies as well that we've got. And, people think, will, birth certificate, car details. But nowadays, there are so many things that we register for, and most of them probably are sitting somewhere in our inbox. Do they know what your computer password is?
This is it. So in our minds, we're all super organised because they're all in an inbox. Well, that's great, except for nobody can get into your inbox. And if we're talking about lasting power of attorney, let's just say for finance, and somebody has got power of attorney for your finance, and you're otherwise indisposed and can't do things for yourselves, that's great. We've done that. That's a huge thing to have an LPA in place. Well, where are your bank details? What bills need paying? When do the bills need paying? What bills have you got? Because do you have gas? Do you have just electric? There's so many things that we don't think about in our lives because it's second nature. We just do them. We just get on with it. We never stop and take that quiet time, as you said before, to stop and think about, what does my life look like? What are all the different aspects of it? And what would happen if even if you were just on holiday, what a nice beach holiday without the phone ringing because you've left somebody at home, a house sitter, and they're phoning you every 20 minutes to ask questions.
And it will probably be the things that you think no one, everyone can, no. Just because it's something that we do 10 times a day doesn't mean that, even, it sounds silly. I mean, this probably isn't something for our lives, but even if there's a lock, a backdoor lock that has a specific way of opening or a specific code or something like that, people can't get out.
Exactly it. So what we have in our lives, because I thought of this, because I thought my mum's back door, honestly, I have a complete breakdown every time I try to get into it, because there's a very specific way of opening it. And despite her having lived here for years, I still haven't quite mastered it. Is we have a whole section where it says notes and quirks. So if you've got, so my dryer, you have to switch it off and then switch it back on again to a setting before you can turn it on. It won't work otherwise. I don't know why it's like that. Is that by design? So it's got a section for things like that. It's like your microwave. You have to do a funny jig and press some button so many times. Your car, so we've got the section on there for your vehicles. It's great, we know your V5 documents are, but what are your car's quirks? Now, I've driven a lot of very cheap cars in my life, and they've all had various things that you needed to do to make other things work. So we have put a section in that, because that's what we're trying to do, is be very realistic about the challenges people. Remote controls. I don't know how to work anybody's remote control apart from my own.
They just, people, yes, no, yeah. Oh, it's just so much. But we also, in our audio episode, talk about practical tips, things that, I mean, I talk about, you know, I've got my gorgeous doggy that I talk about a lot, and the times I've nearly fallen over him. And as you point out, in terms of midlife now, it's a good time to future-proof in terms of making our surroundings safer for what is hopefully to come, the many wonderful days, months and years we've got ahead of us.
Absolutely. We talk in the episode about we start falling more in middle-age, hormone changes, strength changes, and our balance. But actually our environment is so important. One of my favourite tip, and you know this is my favourite tip, is a lack of contrasting colour will increase your chance of falling over. So if we have a fully white bathroom, as our eyesight deteriorates, that makes it all really difficult to see. And we know with dementia patients, if you have a white plate with mashed potato on it, it looks like an empty plate. But to take it to us, it's really thinking now about how you will be in a number of years' time and making accommodations now before the crisis hits. And hopefully, and this is where it's slightly counterintuitive, you will never know if it's made a difference, because hopefully nothing will happen because you've made these changes, so it's really hard to measure and it's really hard to quantify. Another challenge, pop Vaseline on your glasses. And I suggest that anybody who is going to do this has somebody with them to keep them safe. And then look around your house and see if you can see the contrast between your furniture and the floor, the floorboards and the wall, handrails, all those things, because it mimics, it doesn't mimic it perfectly, but it mimics vision loss.
I'll say that there are moments in our episode when I have like kind of goosebumpy moments, because the positive catastrophizing, the catastrophizer in me starts to resurge slightly at the thought of, there are some oh my goodness moments. And actually what you're just saying about, we talk about colour, we talk about differentiating, and next week's episode with Hazel Turner, that's all about adding colour as well to zhuzh. So there are some top tips. Viewers, go and tune in next week. But for this week though, we'll come back to this. Obviously I said all your contact details are in the show notes for our episode, and you have your guest profile on the podcast website. My brain, I'm so excited about all this, but could you talk viewers through how they can connect with you? Where do you hang out? How do we find out more about Our Lives? Because you said there are lots of different things that they can do for free to get a feel of it,
So the biggest thing is, so when we set this up and I was like, oh great, okay, so now, but Nobody wants to think about it. So what I've done is created what we call the life audit. So you can go on and it's completely free. So if you go to the website, which I know is linked below, and you answer a series of questions about your life, about your health, your environment, your family setup, and so on. It's all confidential as well. You fill that in, and we send you an instant report that tells you the areas that you're doing well in and the areas that you could do better in. And then as a result of that, you're invited to free sessions. So this is, and again, obviously it's a business, but do you know, I'm really passionate. I just want people to have better lives. And that's it, really. So you've been invited to free sessions where you can hear from experts, get top tips, all these tips around. And I know in the episode we talk about putting a high vis on your dog, if anyone's interested in doggy high vis.
I would love that.
Yeah, and it makes them feel very important too, so it's a win-win. So the life audit is completely free. Just click on the website, and on the homepage it says take your free life audit, and then you'll get your own personalised report from that. In terms of getting in touch, my details are linked below, and there's also a live chat on the website as well if people have got any questions. So it's really simple, really straightforward, and yeah, we just hope we can be helpful to people, because it's difficult to make people think about their future. But it's also really essential.
Obviously, you know, we had an episode I think it was last year now, goodness, all about, you know, death cleansing and forward planning. And I'm just loving that we're continuing the conversation. And if we've got any overlap, I don't think we do actually, because there's so many different things to talk about. But let's just keep having the conversation. So Vicky, remind us, what is the actual website address?
So it's www.ourlivesapp.com.
Perfect. And come and connect with me as well. All my details are in the show notes. And you can find me everywhere, more or less, and head to either the Midlife Unlimited podcast website or my own website, kateporter.co.uk, for details of how you can work with me one-to-one, or by coming and joining my all-in-one group coaching program. More, because who doesn't want more? But we're going to start doing less to get it. Come and join the Quitters Revolution. So, Vicky, it's been wonderful. Thank you for being my 75th episode guest. It's an absolute joy. Thank you for the conversations, because, you know, there are some tough things we talk about. There's a lot of laughter, as there always is on Midlife Unlimited, but we're smashing those stereotypes. We're busting the myths. We're misbehaving a little bit. Here's to being fabulous and flourishing together.
And another 75 episodes.
Oh, absolutely. Who wants to come on? Get in touch. Come and have the conversations. Here's to living Midlife Unlimited. Thanks, Vicky. It's been brilliant.
Bye-bye.
Bye.